Oh, hello again, everyone. Well, I'm a bit achy after yesterday, but I guess it's time to get up. Well, it's a little bit more overcast out there today, and the wind had got up early this morning. It looks like it's died down a bit now. I'm going to make myself a bit of a brew and some breakfast and decide what to do today. Well, I think possibly an easier day than yesterday is in order. So after I've had my breakfast, I think I'm going to walk up and have a look at Tideslow Rake, which is not too far away. And that, of course, is a historic mining site, so should be quite interesting. Well, I've spent a bit of time this morning doing a few of the little jobs around the van. I've topped up the water tanks, I've got rid of some rubbish, and I've taken the money for the site up to the farmhouse. I've also put the shell of the dreadful spindly oddmedod that we found on the beach at Gower in some water, because I'm going to try and clean some of the sort of crusted on sand off it so we can get a better look at it and try and work out what it is. But now I'm going to put the brew kit together and we're going to head off to Tideslow Rake. I reckon that'll be a good spot to have my morning brew. I've just realised I left my chocolate biscuits behind at the barbecue last night, so I hope Darryl and Keith and Pippa and Lee enjoy them. And it looks like it's another Satsuma for me with me tea. Well, there is a nice path across the fields, but I've decided to walk up the road because there's a little mine site that I just want to check out and have a look at. Yeah, there it is. You can see the old mine building, or at least I assume that's an old mine building, and you can see a spoil heap there and spoil heap there, and I think you can just about see the top of a shaft cap there. So this is actually the road that I came up last night on the bike when it ran out of battery. See, it's quite steep. Definitely a lot cooler than it was yesterday, although I am warming up now I've started walking. So you can see that up there is Tideslow Rake. It's where the vein of mineral comes up to the surface, and you can see it's been worked quite extensively. I believe it is a scheduled ancient monument, because it's not been disturbed, it's not been reworked like most of the rakes have. So yeah, well worth popping up and taking a look, I think. Old dew pond for the cows to drink from. They build these because being limestone, there's very little surface streams because it all sinks down below. There's a big old pit here. I'm not too sure if that's part of the rake workings or whether that's maybe a later quarry for stone or something. Who knows? Yeah, I think that's probably one of the areas that has been reworked and is outside of the scheduled monument. But now I'm at the actual lead rake, the historic workings. And there you go, these were worked from the 12th century to the 18th century apparently, with work stopping around 1800. And there was underground work in here, and there apparently were at least 5 SUFs driven drainage levels to drain the underground workings. So I'm not sure where they are or where they come out, or even if they're accessible. I suspect not. But anyway, let's go and have a look round. So it's obviously much better for the miners to work from the surface where the vein's exposed in one of these rakes than it is to go underground, although obviously they go underground to chase the deeper stuff. I suspect these rake workings would originally been a lot deeper. Probably a lot of this is spoil that's been sort of backfilled into them, I'm guessing. Well, I'm sure the old miners probably didn't get too many tea breaks, but about time for me to have one. Of course, while it was working, this would be pretty much heavy industry of its day and quite polluting. This would be a busy industrial site really, so it's amazing to think that now it's so quiet and peaceful and a bit of a haven for wildlife, flora and fauna and such. Yeah, I remember reading an article in one of the mining history journals about the metalliferous plants that like to live on these old mining sites purely because they are contaminated with heavy metals, which makes, I guess, it unsuitable for other things to live there. So in a way it's kind of provided a nice conservation environment for those rare plants, which is a bit weird really, isn't it, that heavy metal contamination is good for something. Right, time to move on, I guess. And as usual, of course, follow the practice, leave no trace, take all your rubbish with you and stuff. Well, there was much rubbish, really. Yeah, it really is a fantastic area and obviously very heavily worked. There's a capped shaft here. You can't see down, it looks like it's a bit collapsed inside, but yeah, it looks like an old one. Well, what a fantastic view from up top here. You can see well, what we got Win Hill over there and Kinder over there. Yeah, fantastic. See for miles, and you can see the rake workings continuing off into the distance, even right over there, look. There's a campsite over there that looks like it would be a great place to stay. Well, I really am surprised. August bank holiday weekend, and I've had this place more or less to myself. Yeah, so much for everyone going on English or UK holidays this year. They're certainly not hanging around here if they are. Maybe they've all gone to Cornwall. It certainly seems that way from the news reports I've seen. Down at the bottom end of the rake now, and you can see there's still quite substantial workings even at the bottom end. And in this field there is a flock of wild chickens. I guess they're roaming from a farm nearby somewhere. Well, I've got my new boots on, carrying on the sort of breaking in process, but they aren't giving me a little bit of jip. Well, I'll carry on and follow this path a little bit further, perhaps. Well, we're now effectively on High Rake, which is in the same line as Tideslow Rake. This was a very big mine, worked down to 720 foot, I believe. And it had, until the 1920s, some spectacular old engine houses and chimneys and things. But unfortunately, they were knocked down shortly after 1920, I think. But the mine engine that was here was bought from Magpie Mine. And got a video of myself and my daughter staying at Magpie Mine, which I'll link below. You can really see Win Hill quite clearly from here. We climbed up that a couple of years ago. I've got a video of that too, which I shall also link below. So these are the ruins of those engine houses where that engine from Magpie Mine was housed. And you can see here is the base of the chimney. So yeah. They didn't take the footings out when they demolished them back in the 1920s. They just knocked everything over above ground, really. Yeah, a very, very substantial mine at one time. There's a substantial concrete cap over the shaft. Doesn't look like anyone's been down there in a long time, but most of the lower workings are flooded, as I understand it. So yeah, this is the below ground remaining section of the pumping engine house, and yeah, the shaft is through there underneath the concrete cap there. Well, I don't think I really want to push things too much further in these boots, so I'm going to make myself another brew, sit here on this bench and look at the view before I head back. Well, I couldn't see any sensible option to make this a circular walk, so it's pretty much going to be a linear walk out and back. So I'm retracing my steps exactly the way I came. So I'll see you back at the motorhome. Well, today's walk was about 4 miles, so nowhere near as far as yesterday, but I definitely think I've earned the rest of the afternoon off with a brew, some cheese and biscuits, and me book. Well, I had a pretty relaxing rest of the afternoon, but I'm getting the feeling it's time for dinner. There's a toss-up between a minted lamb chop I've got in there or a pie. I think I'm going to go for the pie, and that means it's time for everyone's favourite part of the video. It's time for the squeaky oven door. Well, I've got some frozen veg to cook with it, so I needed the saucepan back. So I removed the shell of the dreadful spindly odd-me-dod from there. Not really done much soaking it to get rid of all that crusty, sandy stuff. I think I'm going to have to attack it with a fine brush, perhaps an old toothbrush. That might have to wait until I get home. Don't worry, I am going to wash the saucepan before I cook my veg. Right, I think it's probably ready. Haha, splendid. Well, I've enjoyed that dinner, and I washed up, and I've actually had another little stroll just up the lane here. But now I'm going to settle in for the night, and I've got this nice cider that Liz, the mother-in-law, brought me. It's blackberry and nettle naturally light cider. That's actually very nice. Oh, well, that was another quite busy day, really. Anyway, I'm going to have one more cup of tea and then head for bed, I think. Oh, well, that was a good night's sleep, but it's light again now. Wind seems to have got up a little bit this morning, though. Time to stop farting and snoring in my stinking pit and get up and make a brew. Well, I've opened the beans for breakfast, and it turns out they're beans and little sausages again. We bought a load of tin of beans, which have the little sausages in by accident, but that's a little bit of a bonus for me because I don't mind them. Nikki, on the other hand, won't eat them, so if we open a tin and suddenly find it's got sausages in, I have to eat them. I know it does say on the outside, but yeah, we just missed that. But you really can't beat a nice bit of black pudding. Well, it didn't take long to get everything packed and squared away this time. Obviously, we weren't plugged into electric hookup, didn't have the legs down. So yeah, no warning up, very quickly to pack away, and now I'm off. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. Give the like button a press. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see some more.